necessary, but I've been on the other side of the Inland Revenue, and I think that the Inland Revenue are evil themselves and also sadistic, and the Inland Revenue are beyond the law.
Evil and sadistic, these are strong words, Adam.
Yeah, well, if you've experienced what I've experienced, Rachel, you'd understand. I was made redundant at the age of 48. Nobody would give me a job because I was either too old or too experienced. So I did what the government asked of me. I started a small business. It went off a lot better than I thought. I was working 100+ hours a week. And after 5 years, I was employing 13 people. Now, I was paying more tax than I've ever paid in my life. And at the end of 5.5 years, a family came along and we thought that this is not conducive to family life. I'll sell the business. And everything was great. And then I got called in by the Inland Revenue. And they said to me, sit down, have a cup of coffee, and allegations have been made. And I said, what allegations? And they said, not telling you. I said, well, who made them? We're not telling you. We want to go through all your statements and bank records and credit cards for the last 7 years, not only yourself, but your wife and even your daughter, money that from grandma, etc., which I did do. My accountant phoned me up and he said, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is you've overpaid tax by £3,600. What's the bad news? But my fee is £2,900. So I paid the accountant, never ever got the £3,600 from the taxman. The taxman called me back in. He said, we think you owe us £33,000. I said, no, you've got to be joking. They said, disprove it. Now, the Inland Revenue, Rachel, have got more laws than the police. If the police think you've done something wrong, they need some evidence before they can charge you. Then you're entitled to go to court and you're entitled to produce your evidence, and the prosecution produce theirs, and you see it as it. But the Inland Revenue, you don't get that opportunity. They said you owe us £33,000, pay up or else. So then ensued a 3.5-year battle with the Inland Revenue. Cut a long story short, Rachel, I owed them £1,300. But, they took me to court. They took me to the commissioners for income tax. I had bailiffs knocking on the door, wanting to seize my car and my goods. And in the end, I only owed £1,300. But it's one of those organisations, Rachel, where it's horrific. It's so monolithic.
OK, I just want to get a brief response to that, Ronnie Ludwig. Why is it that HMRC are able to go after the little guy and not so effective against the big fellas?
Well, what your last contributor was talking about is a very typical story. And the thing with HMRC that you've always got to remember is that it's unlike any other sort of legal process in this country. All legal process in this country, you are innocent until you're proven guilty. With HMRC, they can, if they've got some grounds for it, assume that you are guilty, whack a tax assessment, and invite you to tell them why they're wrong. And proving a negative is an extremely costly, stressful business, and I completely sympathise with the last contributor. I've seen that happen many, many times over the years to people, and it places them under a great deal of strain. So I completely sympathise with them.
Ronnie Ludwig, Richard Murphy will both come back to you. Thank you very much for the timing. Thanks to our callers.